Call to order this regular Board of Directors meeting for the Siloam Springs Board of Directors, February 6th, 2024. Roll call.
Hunt.
Here.
Wiles. Here. Blair.
Here.
Rissler. Here. Carroll.
Here.
Smiley. Allen.
Here.
If everyone will please stand with me as Director Allen leads us in prayer, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our dear Heavenly Father, thank you for coming. Thank you for looking after us here as we come today to help take care of the affairs of the citizens of Siloam Springs. Look after each of us, look after all of the citizens and the staff of the city. Look after our military men and women around the world and lift them up. Know that we are supporting them. We ask that you look over all of our families as we have everyday travel in life. We ask these things in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, I would like to ask anyone that has an electronic device to please silence or turn that off so we don't have an interruption during the meeting. And I appreciate that. Thank you. First on the agenda is public input. Is there anyone here that would like to address the board on any item that is not on our regular agenda?
I just knew Arthur was coming up here. Mary Nolan, I'm Director of Operations for the Siloam Springs Museum. And we have a couple really neat events coming up soon. On February 24th, from 10:30 to 12, we have the Amazium coming and doing a Kids' Day at the museum. And it'll be about learning the art of paper rolling or paper quilling. And if you don't know what that is, I say look it up. It's a really neat art thing. And it's really one of our things that we're trying to do this year with the Amazium is to bring up some things that kids had to do a long time ago when they didn't have iPhones and, Game Boys and all that kind of stuff. So we're excited about that, and we would like people to register for that. And if they have any questions, they certainly can call us at 524-4011. And then the other event is really a neat event called the Endangered Ozark Giraffe, which refers to the giraffe houses that are very unique to the Ozarks in this area. That will be March 2nd from 6 to 8 at Olive and Opal, and it is a free event, and so people don't have to register or anything. They're just welcome to come and drop by. There will be some refreshments, but they'd be welcome to purchase anything that Olive and Opal have to offer. So you can find us on Facebook and the SiloamSpringsMuseum.com. And Steve Garrett will be hosting that event for us. He'll be coming and talking about that. He has a podcast called Within the Realm. So if you're interested in some more information on that, you can look that up also. Thank you.
Mary,
Thank you,
what was
Mary.
the date on that giraffe house thing? What was the date?
March 2nd for the Giraffe House.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Well, it'd be proper to have ladies first anyway. Arthur Hulbert, 20705 Highway 16, President of Siloam Springs Chamber of Commerce. Be real brief, just want everyone to know about our candidate forum that the Chamber will be putting on February 15th at the library, Siloam Springs Library, be 12 to 1. And all the candidates are welcome and the whole public is welcome. So you'll have congressional candidates, you'll have JP candidates, you'll also have state representative candidates. February 15th, 12 to 1, Siloam Springs Library. Love to see everybody.
Thank you, Arthur. Is there anyone else? If not, is there anyone here that would like to address the board on an item that is on the consent agenda? There is not. Then we will move on to the consent agenda. Item A, regular meeting minutes, January 23rd, 2024. Item B, Resolution 12-24, Special Use Development Permit, Short-Term Rental, 504 East Franklin Street. And that is our consent agenda, ladies and gentlemen. Is there one of those items that you would like to have pulled for further consideration? If there is not, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Wiles. Blair. Rissler.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Ellen.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes. Motion is approved. Next are the regularly scheduled items. Item C, ordinance 24-01, third reading, vacation of a utility easement at 816 East Main Street. Chris?
Good evening, Mayor. Thank you. The ordinance is on its third reading. It's a vacation of a utility easement at 816 East Main Street. We did not have any additional questions at the agenda session for the board for this item, and staff stands for any questions.
Thank you, Chris. Directors, any comments or questions at this time for this ordinance? If there is none, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address ordinance 24-01? There is not, so I will ask if I have a motion.
Mayor, I did
Yes,
have one
David.
question. Chris, on the packet, there's two surveys with two different dates but look the same. Is there some reason, was there some difference? One of them's dated 11/2 and the other one's dated 11/21.
And I can refer that to, the planner was Ben Rhodes for this project, and he may have a response for that.
And I say the different date, it's the surveyor himself's signature with a different date on each one is why I wondered if there was some change.
The survey you would use is the Exhibit A for ordinance 2401. So that should be the correct survey that's on the back of the last page of the ordinance.
Well, but there are two different I mean, they're signed on different dates, like he did something different.
I'm not seeing the two surveys, I'm sorry. Yeah, not, it's 1121. Oh, is that because
I do see where you're
of? One was part of the petition, which would have been the earlier version, and then they had the final version.
Okay.
So just for clarification on that, when you do a petition to vacate, you do have to submit some sort of evidence, some sort of document that goes with that. That was done on the 21st, and then the final version would have been submitted on the 22nd. I don't believe there would be any changes to that. Usually we can use the same document. I'm not sure why there would be a second date on those, but the last one, the most recent date would be the version that would be up for the petition.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's why I asked.
Thank you.
I mean, it wasn't just something signed by us in a memo. It was actually, a survey with a different date. So, okay.
Anyone else? And Chris, if you will, stay close to the mic for me so we get it.
My apologies.
Thank you. So do I have a motion to place ordinance 24-01 on its third reading, suspending the rules, reading by title only?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Blair.
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Hunt. Wiles.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Alan?
Ordinance number 24-01, an ordinance vacating and abandoning a utility easement at 816 East Main Street.
Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 24-01?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt. Roll call.
Rissler.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Blair.
Yes. Motion is approved. Ordinance 24-01 is adopted. Next is ordinance 24-02, third reading, amending section 102-21 of the City Municipal Code, rezoning from C2 to R4, 4290 Sherry Whitlock Drive. Chris?
Thank you, Mayor. This is ordinance 2402, amending section 102 of the City Municipal Code. It is on its third reading. There were no further questions at the board's agenda session, and staff recommends approval and stands for any questions.
Thank you. Directors? Comments or questions?
I just had one question.
Yes.
Madam Mayor. I didn't know if anybody with staff knew when this was, we're going from C2 to R4, when was it zoned C2? I mean, did the owners do it, or was that part of our master plan that we did it? I didn't know if anybody had any idea. I was just out of the blue wondering.
Yeah, usually that's not a part of a typical staff report. Ben has been here for 20 years, so
He's the
he might
the
actually know.
seniority.
He may have actually been here if it has been rezoned last, so.
Memory serves correctly, I've been road senior planner. I think that was the Ware property at one point, and they did rezone that 40 acres as well as the one to the north. It was a kind of a dual zoning at that time. This was probably 2005 or something like that. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I think that was the last time it got rezoned.
I was just curious.
Anyone else? If not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address ordinance 24-02? There is not, so directors, one more time, do we have any questions or comments at this point? We do not. I would ask for a motion then to place ordinance 24-02 on its third and final reading, suspending the rules and reading by title only.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Bristler,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes. Motion is approved. Alan?
Ordinance number 24-02, an ordinance amending section 102-21 of the Siloam Springs Municipal Code City Zoning Map, rezoning from C2 to R4, property located at 4290 Sherry Whitlock Drive, and amending the future land use map of the Siloam Springs 2040 Comprehensive Plan.
Thank you. So, directors, do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 24-02?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second to adopt. Roll call.
Wiles,
Yes.
Blair. Yes. Bristler,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes. Motion is approved. Ordinance 24-02 is adopted. Next is the resolutions. Resolution 13-24, final plat development permit for the Somerset subdivision, Phase 2, 3,000 block of East Kenwood Street. Chris?
Thank you, and if I could get IT to pull that up on the big screen so you can take a look at it. This was a project that was reviewed by Megan Thomas Planner. This is a project from the applicant that is requesting to establish a final plat for Somerset subdivision Phase 2. The commission recommended approval of the final plat permit by a 7-0 vote with no abstentions, subject to the following recommended conditions of approval. The applicant must file this plat with the Benton County Clerk's Office and provide one filed copy to the city within 45 days of the board acceptance of this plat. The applicant must file via separate instrument the emergency access easement for the property prior to the building permit issuance. The applicant shall dedicate the detention pond lot to the city of Siloam Springs prior to certificate of occupancy. There were changes to the preliminary plat since its original approval. That was for the fire lane's constructability. There were no public comments during the Planning Commission, and there were no additional questions during the agenda session. Staff recommends approval with considerations of said conditions and stands for any questions.
Thank you. directors. Alan, do you have something you'd like to add?
Just real quick, if you're getting texts or calls, and I pardon the interruption, if you notice the girls in utility are still here working, we did shut-offs today, and it did not go well. So we are working diligently to get everybody turned back on. So if you get any text, we are working hard to get that rectified. Okay.
Thank you.
And I'll just say, Alan, that's appreciated, that staff is working late to make sure that happens. So, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So with that, directors, any comments or questions on this Resolution 13-24? There being none, audience, do I have anyone that would like to address Resolution 13-24? There is none. So directors, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 13-24 with listed conditions?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Hunt,
Yes.
Wiles,
Yes.
Blair. Yes. Risler,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Yes.
Microphone. It's the first time it's worked tonight. So,
Okay.
okay. Thank you. That's all.
I see the thumbs up from IT, so I think that's good.
It hasn't been working. Thank you.
I think he did it on purpose.
I figured you had him do it.
All right, very good. Next is Resolution 14-24, Significant Development Permit for the 500 block of South Britt Street. And also with that is Resolution 15-24, Special Use Development Permit, Light Industry for the same address or the same area, 800 block of East Jefferson Street. And Megan will present both of these at the same time, directors, and then we will consider them separately for adoption. Megan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Megan Thomas, Planner 1. This is a significant development request for properties located at the 500 block of South Britt Street. The request consists of 4 commercial office flex space buildings with a total of 11 white box units situated on 4.82 acres. This request is located on both the east and west side of South Britt Street as depicted on this general area map on the screen. The applicant is also requesting to allow a light industry use on the East C2 lot in order to allow for the proposed office flex space use within the C2 zoning district, and that's that red lot outlined on your screen there. And this is the overall site plan for the development so that you can see the layout along South Britt Street there. As you can see, they're providing sidewalks along South Britt Street as well as along East Jefferson Street. They're also showing several proposed drives with access showing to East Jefferson, Britt, and East Granite Street. In addition, the applicant is also proposing separate street improvements with on-street parking provided along South Britt Street and East Jefferson Street. Those on-street parking calculations were not included in this review and are not included in the parking calculations for this development. And this is a close-up looking north for the proposed development on the West C2 lot. As you can see, the applicant will be utilizing the West R2 and R3 portion of that lot for their detention pond. This will serve as a buffer from those west historical residentials along South Washington Street. And this is the east lot on South Britt Street. So as you can see, the applicant is providing sufficient parking for the development as well as sidewalks to allow for better pedestrian mobility. They also have some crosswalks provided, so it's pretty walkable in there. And this is the proposed special use area outlined in red. Again, the applicant is requesting a special use to allow for light industry, office flex space use, again, on the C2 portion of this lot. As depicted on this site plan, this does have split zoning, with the split zoning line being right about here. The southern portion of this lot is zoned I-1 industrial, which does permit this use by right. So the special use is really only for this area boxed in red. The reason for the special use is mainly because they're providing some warehousing and some bay doors. It will be primarily a commercial use and look like a commercial and operate as a commercial does, but that is why our code doesn't really take in consideration those kind of special uses like that. And this is the landscape plan for the development. So you can see they're providing trees along all property boundaries. They have sufficient interior landscaping of their parking areas. Additionally, they are providing a 30-foot landscape buffer here to the south. The reason for that 30-foot landscape buffer is because this property here adjacent to the west of it is zoned residential. It is vacant, however, they are providing that additional buffer area just because they are adjacent to that residential lot. And these are the elevations for the proposed development. So again, it will come off and appear as a commercial development. Really, that special use is only because of the bay doors and the slight warehousing use. And this is the overall site plan for the development. So you can see all the properties are currently vacant. This R2, R3 area right here that I've X'd out, that's where the detention pond is going to be at. You can see that the rail line is over here to the east. This is typically reserved for developments like this, so this development is suitable for this area. Staff is recommending approval of the significant development request with one needed condition. That condition is that the applicant must file drainage, utility, and access easements via separate instrument as directed by the city engineer prior to certificate of occupancy issuance. And staff is recommending approval of the special use for light industry with no needed conditions. And staff is available for any questions that y'all may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. So, directors, first we will look at Resolution 14-24. Do you have any comments or questions on this resolution? If not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to Resolution 14-24? There is not. I will then ask for a motion to approve Resolution 14-24 with listed conditions.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Wiles.
Yes.
Blair. Yes. Rissler.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Hunt.
My mic didn't go off when same thing.
Yes. Is it on now, Alan? Can you just say your name and let's see if, David?
I wasn't even saying anything and it was green, but then when I say yes, it wasn't, it didn't turn green, so. Yeah,
Okay.
It's still working out the kinks, I think,
Okay,
especially because I keep hearing an echo throughout the room.
So IT is aware of that.
I'm
Alan?
I'm sorry, Mayor. One of the things that I had to learn through this, when the green light, when you're talking directly in front of it, if you turn your head, the mic will go off and there'll be a pause in there. So it's try to talk as straight in there, because I'm a talker. I'll be looking around doing that. Sometimes it'll do it, but we'll work these kinks out. I apologize for that.
But if all we're going to say is yes or no,
It should go right.
it's not
I-
necessarily going to turn green before we get that word out.
Yes, sure, I agree.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. And did we get our roll call? Okay, so that motion is approved. Next is Resolution 15-24. Do I have any comments or questions on this resolution? If not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to have questions or comments on Resolution 15-24? There being none, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 15-24 with no conditions?
Mayor, I will just ask,
Yes.
since we're talking about both these being in the same vicinity,
Yes.
I think Megan addressed it, but I just want to make sure.
Sure.
The significant development permit is one, the other one we're doing now is a special use development permit, and I guess it's because, it didn't Megan say because it's light industry? It's like,
I believe that's correct, because there are going to be the bay doors there, which will be something different than what we would normally see. So that is what the special use is for.
if it wasn't a question, it would be the same type, but because of that.
That is correct. That's what I understand. Yes,
Thank you.
yes. So do I have a motion then to approve Resolution 15-24?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Blair.
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Wiles.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Next is Resolution 16-24, Preliminary Plat Development Permit, Oak Brook Addition, 700 block of West Pittsfield Street. Chris?
If we could have IT pull up the screen. Okay. The resolution was, the request was reviewed by Ben Rhodes, the senior planner. This is for preliminary plat of Oak Brook Addition at 700 block of West Pittsfield Street. The applicant's request to establish a preliminary plat for the Oak Brook subdivision. The proposal is on 9.89 acres and contains 30 medium single-family residential lots. The request is a major revision of the original proposal submitted to the board for review in August of 2023. The Planning Commission reviewed the preliminary plat application on January 9th. There was one comment from the public regarding the preservation of trees along eastern boundary line where it abuts against Autumn Glen Addition. Staff and the commission were assured that the developer's agent, developer's agent, that the mature trees will be saved as much as possible. There was one question at the board's agenda session, which was, is this part of a larger development to come? The planner identified that if the developer wants to build in addition to this proposal, they would be required to submit a preliminary plat for review. Staff stands for any additional questions, and it is subject to one condition of approval, that the applicant shall annex the subject property into the city of Siloam Springs and request to apply for the R2 zone for the proposed lots prior to the construction on the property.
Thank you, Chris. Directors?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Betsy.
do you know when this development's going to start?
After the approval, it would have to go through, after the approval, I believe that this would have to go through the annexation before any of the development would begin.
So like 6 months?
It would be at the behest of the applicant because they have to go through the annexation process prior to that. So it could be, we could begin that process immediately. I'm not sure if the applicant's present and has a timeline, or if they kind of know when they're going to go through that process, or it could be 6 months from now when they start that process.
Okay. And I've actually already heard from citizens on this. And there was a question, what are they going to do to control the trash? Usually there's trash blowing
You're talking
everywhere.
about during the construction?
Yeah.
Trash is once it's annexed into the city, then it falls into the jurisdiction of our stormwater our stormwater management area. It's our MS4 jurisdiction. Trash is a part of your MS4 stormwater requirements. We will have a construction inspector starting soon that can also assist with that. As long as this is annexed into the city prior to development, then it'll go through with the new construction inspector, we'll begin review with those type of inspections whenever he visits the site.
Okay, so they'll make sure that,
I can't guarantee that it won't happen, but it'll be a violation if it does happen, and we have controls in place to ensure that gets resolved if it does.
my understanding is you can start fining them, is that correct?
Typically, with a stormwater type violation, you start with a warning. You give them a chance to resolve the issue. So if there's a lot of trash that is on the site, if there's a lot of homes being built, then we would give them a phone call, courtesy message, hey, get the site cleaned up. Then we can escalate beyond that all the way up to citation or stop work order is typical. Stop work order typically works better in this type of project because it has a lot more ramifications than a small fine.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, David.
Chris, it's, fairly obvious that they plan to expand when there's no cul-de-sac on the north side. It's an open street on the northwest and the northeast side. It is connecting to the housing addition to the east. The question I've got is that on the land to the north, there's something kind of an odd snake-like road. It looks like that should, I don't know what it's there for. But I am glad that there are less number of homes in this. As you said, they completely redesigned it. and lowered the number. But my concern is that, we're just going to keep adding on, and I don't know why it wouldn't just be explained. The other question I had was, how will the building transportation occur? Is it going to come in off of Carl Street and down Pittsfield Street to build the street and build all the development? Because it doesn't look like there's any other area to get to, any other access to get to this development. And I think all the people that live down Carl in that housing addition to the east just need to be aware that there's going to be a lot of dump trucks, a lot of, construction trucks going back and forth down that street. I mean, am I right? That's the only access, is it?
I believe you're right. They'll have to have a construction site entrance. Contractors do have the same rights as other citizens in use of the public right-of-way, so it would be likely that that would be the path of least resistance. My assumption would be that that would be the location where the construction site entrance would be to that location. Typically, with this type of proposal, what we're looking for is, does it meet the minimum requirements of the code for the preliminary plat? And I'll remind the board that this still has to come back for the annexation. And that'll be a separate conversation whenever it does come back for the annexation. However, the minimum requirements of the code do appear to have been followed for this. We don't have anything that I'm aware of that would limit their construction site entrance to a different area. It's not really feasible. There's a floodplain to the northwest of this location. There's separate property owners. The only strip that I see that would be connecting this to the public right-of-way and their allowed use would be along that strip that goes down to Carl.
I was sitting there looking at it. I don't think there's any way to get into it from the south side. I can't remember what is directly south to where they could get there, except the highway.
I believe it's private property. in the
Yeah,
county,
yeah,
just to the
it's raw
southeast.
land, I think, but it's, yeah. You look at the figure A8 general area map, and it's coming off of the North Mount Olive Highway 43 onto Carl and going right down amongst, 14, 15 homes and making a left. It just seems a little dangerous, but what do you do? I mean, it's a landlocked piece of property, so.
Anything else, David?
No, ma'am, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? If not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address Resolution 16-24? Hello, sir.
Good evening, Ron Holmeyer, Civil Engineering, 701 South Mount Olive. Trying to address a couple of these comments. As far as the access, yes, coming up Carl Street to Pittsfield is going to be the access to this project at this time. They'll be as careful as they are in any other neighborhood when they're working like this. They do it all the time all over Northwest Arkansas, so that it will be, the neighbors may seem and conceive it as an inconvenience, but it is, as was noted, a right that is available. The trash, I don't typically see trash during the development phase. I guess they're referring to when they're building the houses, and that would be not our developer. And so I'm sure the city has ways to do that through building inspections and code enforcement and all that. So yes, that I understand, and I know that's part of it, and I wish it wasn't. One other comment I wanted to make, excuse me, is to point out that, there was a concern about the lot sizes. Well, yes, the lots along Carl Street are either 80 or 85 feet wide, depending on whether you're in the Autumn Glen subdivision or in the Heritage Ranch subdivision. But when you go one block east, onto to Wakefield. Those lots are only 62 feet wide. And the lots in Phase 3 of Heritage Ranch are 60 feet wide. So our 70-foot lots that are proposed here are actually an upgrade compared to what is existing out there. And final comment I have is prior projects, the construction was, or the annexation was tied to the final plat, not prior to construction. And so I'm not sure why this one is such coming, would last, that it'd just be like all the rest, that it'd be tied to the final plat and not prior to construction.
Yeah, you're right. That's how it has been. The annexation was with the final plat, right?
Right.
Do we have a reason why it's different this time?
I'm gonna speculate. I could speculate, but I
Well,
won't.
yeah, Kevin's looking like he might give me an answer.
Kevin Moore, city engineer. Following some recent developments where the annexation was tied specifically to final plat or other things later on in the line, millions and millions of dollars were put into these areas for the public improvements under the assumption that it would later come in. And after recent discussions with the county, their recommendation was actually to tie it to annexation rather than final plat, so that you don't have that issue where you're trying to bring in a piece of property that's been developed and have to make other considerations elsewhere.
Andy, does that answer your question? Maybe, sort of. So it used to be we tied it into final, but now we're saying preliminary.
Correct.
Annexation has
Just
to
the
be, is a
annexation
condition of
instead.
the preliminary plat approval.
So Kevin, you want it to be annexed at this time, as soon as the preliminaries are approved, or?
Staff's recommendation is that they come through with the annexation prior to beginning construction on in-ground infrastructure. Specifically, the example that kind of led to this was Castlewood, where that project was tied, its preliminary plat approval was tied to the right-of-way on Davidson.
Yeah.
And the county's recommendation at that point.
Castlewood's on Davidson, right?
Correct,
Yeah.
yes. The county at that point recommended that the city should have made the developer go through that right-of-way acquisition prior to approving the preliminary plat as a condition of approval for that instead. So their recommendation was that those types of things that involve other decisions prior to the preliminary plat be tied to construction rather than final plat.
But have we had other issues when we've done this typically in the past?
Not that I'm aware of. So
So-
that's the
so
one.
this is
that's
the
been
one
most
issue.
recent. Yes. So, and again, this condition, the wording on it, like Ron said, it's typically been tied to final plat, and the developer understands that it's at their risk when they're putting in the infrastructure, that it may not be annexed, and there may be some other things that come into play at that point. But that's staff's recommendation is the updated wording.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Ron, you have a comment?
Yeah, I forgot to address the timeline for the annexation. We did not start the annexation before the preliminary plat process because we didn't want to waste the county's time or your time until we knew that y'all were happy with the preliminary plat and would approve it. So that's why that process hasn't already been started. It takes about a month and a half to get, well, around a month to get it back from the county, since this will be 100% ownership annexation. So it has far less notice time, but then it will come to the city in about a month and a half, and then that typically takes 3 months for the city to get through the annexation process. So that's going to be quite a while before we could start, so that's why we were hoping we could get this condition revised.
Thank you. Alan, did you have something? No.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Mindy.
I do have another question here, and excuse my failing memory, but I know it's either with the preliminary or significant that they have to start construction within a year of approval, right? So how does the annexation affect that? I mean, if we're waiting for approval until there's annexation, does that give them a little extra time because it takes extra time for the annexation, or how does all that work?
We do have the option for a 6-month extension as well, so they would have a year and a half. And the way that it's written, I don't know that it's actually tied to construction. I believe it's tied to progress on the site.
Okay.
And so that, if that were part of staff's consideration, the annexation would be a resetting of that 1 year since they were making progress towards their proposal.
Yeah, because I wouldn't want them to be penalized for that, but it sounds like you all want to get started on this sooner rather than later, so may not be an issue. Okay.
Anyone else? If not, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to Resolution 16-24? There is not. Directors, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 16-24 with listed condition?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Allen.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Wiles.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Okay, so we now will move on to our staff reports, which include the December financials and our administrator's report. Alan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Directors, in your packet are your December financials, and if you have any questions, Christina will be available for a call if you need to reach out to her. Administrator report, I have some expenditures to report. Excess of $30,000. The first one is $35,226 for 3 reels of 477. It's for the electrical department. The second one is $41,750. Pickleball court resurfacing for Parks and Recreation. And the third is $48,325 for labor and equipment to install a feeder pump line for the electric department. And per resolution 7-24, expenditure of $60,465 for 24 oil-based wood poles for electrical department. And before the meeting, if you notice in front of you, there should be a golf course status report update. I spent some time out there last week. I'm really excited of the progress and the things that Maxim Golf and Ms. Corey's in the house and the work they're doing. Bringing in corporate sponsors and doing a lot of great things. You should have colored copies. We won't get into the report too much. I just wanted you to have that to take home to read, and we can talk about it next meeting or pre-agenda. Mr. Brian Minnis said he would be happy to come back, or he wasn't available tonight. He can come in probably a month or so and give you a report of everything that we have planned coming up this summer. But we're really excited. We actually took back some of the tarps, and I was amazed, and you can see them in your pictures how green the greens are. It was really amazing, so we're really excited. So again, if you have questions about that, feel free to reach out to me. The second, I've had a board member to talk to me, just get some clarity and make sure we're being consistent. When we bring rezoning, when there's a request to do second and third readings, I'm going to let Chris, we had a meeting and we kind of talked about that. And I think the question is, can we do a second, third reading when it comes to rezoning? So Chris.
So the reason why this seems a little bit different each time that the planning or community development in general brings these rezones forward is if it's going to combine the second and third reading, we're looking for 2 things. Number one, the general public did not provide any input either prior to or during the first reading. And number 2, that it was requested by the applicant. So sometimes we don't have any comments on those first readings, but these are, if it's not requested by the applicant to bring to the board for a second and third reading combination, then we don't bring that forward as a recommendation from staff.
Good, so just for understanding, you can, as a board, you can take those rezonings and combine the second and third reading. Just trying to be consistent and give clarity. So I just want to clear that up.
Well, Alan, with,
Yes, sir.
just by historical precedent, the board has not usually done those unless it's been requested by the person that it's affecting. It's not that I know I've ever been brought up as a suggestion by staff. It's usually the person that is asking for the rezone.
Yes, sir, you are
That-
correct. That's why I want to go back
Yeah.
and make sure if they make that request.
But it's usually them actually stating the request at the board meeting. And there have been times that it has been done if it is something that, as Chris said, has not had a lot of public comment. But it has been traditionally discouraged because of the reason for having three readings, that they're spread out to allow anybody that didn't know about the first reading or the second reading in the public reading in the newspaper or whatever to appear for the third reading. But I was just giving some historical perspective. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And then an Alzheimer's support group is meeting at the library this Saturday from 11 a.m. to noon. It's open to the public. And then we're excited for the 2024 Great North American Eclipse in April. I think I remember the last one in 2017. I'm not sure it was a full eclipse. But in Siloam Springs, we'll see a deep partial eclipse with a magnitude of 97.6. We're planning events and videos, we'll have video games to get ready for the eclipse on April 8th to join the at Memorial Park for your a viewing party. And you can see, I think the library got 5,000 pairs of glasses that we're trying to educate the public and the kids. They should be in school that day just on how dangerous it can be. But I put a set of the glasses in front of you just where you can see them. So we're excited for that. There'll be food trucks, music, and games. Siloam Springs Public Library will give away, I'm sorry, I said 5,000. They have 9,000 pair of glasses for safe viewing. So we're excited about that. Just prayers for Miss Renee. If you notice, Renee's not here tonight. Her brother-in-law has been fighting cancer, and he passed away a couple days ago. So she will be out. So just she's in our thoughts and prayers. And copies of the board rules, I also put those in front of you. Last meeting, you had some changes, and I wanted to make sure that you saw those changes. The cards in front of you are outdated, but Barbara and I will make sure we work to get you updated, laminated cards in front of you, but you should have the copies of all the board rules. So if there's any issues, please let Miss Barbara know, and we'll get those corrected. And last... and there was another question too, and our counsel and I were talking, and he can speak on it briefly. When I moved the meetings, because of the holidays, everything was falling really funny, and we moved the meetings. I read the law that it was called a special called meeting. Joel, do you want to talk briefly about that? I'm not sure it really matters. But for minute purposes, it does fall under special called meeting. But again.
State law requires that there be 2 meetings a month and specifies that those are typically the first and third Monday, but you can change that by ordinance, which you have. You've changed it to the first and third Tuesday. And it also, state law also provides that you can establish the the procedure for calling and giving notice of special meetings, which, again, you have Siloam Municipal Code, Section 2-42 provides for special meetings, how they can be called by either the mayor or a majority of the membership of the board of directors. And the notice that's required of those for a special meeting. So as far as, we've provided that regular meetings are the first and third Tuesday of each month at 6:30. And if typically, if you're going to have meeting at a different time than what your regular meetings are in the code, then you would typically, I don't know that there's a requirement that it be called a special meeting, but that's just kind of what makes sense to me, that would be it's not a regular meeting, it would be a special meeting. But as long as the procedures are followed for providing the notice to the citizens, the procedures that are required by FOIA for, notifying the press and things like that, then it makes sense to call it a special meeting. If we want to provide something in the ordinance or in the code that says, regular meetings may be held at other times, depending on holidays, as determined by the board, you could do that. It's just, I don't know that it's a critical issue what you call it, as long as we follow the requirements for giving notice. If it's not on the scheduled regular time and date.
Joel, have you read the board rules? Have you been given a copy of the board rules?
I've not seen the board rules.
Okay.
I'm just going off the,
Yeah, I understand. The board rules actually refer to special call meetings as having a specific purpose to call the meeting. And on the regular meetings, it says when a holiday occurs, the regular meeting shall be held on the following day, but the regular meeting date and time may be rescheduled by the board of directors in special circumstances. But when so done, the change must be made far enough in advance to allow normal public notification. I felt like our administrator did that. And that's why I felt like they were just the two regular meetings, because we moved them because of the odd date of holidays. Having things listed as special call meetings looks like we had a special reason for having a special meeting. Because number 3 says special meetings may be called by a majority of the directors or by the mayor. Notification of a special meeting, including the specific item to be considered, shall be at least 2 hours prior to the meeting. Such notification shall be by personal service to each member or by telephone, specifying the time and place of the meeting. I felt like our administrator gave us more than enough notice because of the odd holiday falling on so close to our meeting date, that it was wise to move it, to shift both meetings by 7 days. And they were just the regularly scheduled agendas. So
how were the meeting dates in January decided upon? Was it decided on by the board of directors?
well, no, our administrator asked us and no one objected, and I seem to think that it was a good idea. I think it was at the end of December.
Yes, sir. They were moved to the next available right after the holidays, the first Tuesday we could get together.
You told us at our second December meeting.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So again, it was a very good question. You make valid points. So that's something that I'll sit down with Joel and Williams, and that's just a changing in the minutes.
I tend to agree with you, Director Allen, that a special meeting does generally signify that there's some sort of a special purpose. So if this is not, if it's just a rescheduled regular meeting, then it would make sense to call that a regular meeting. But again, I don't know that it has legal significance. I think it's as long as, again, we follow the notice procedures. But for clarity, it might make sense to do it that way.
Well, it might be semantics, but you don't want somebody down the road to look and say, well, we had 2 special call meetings in January of 2024, but we didn't have any regular board. It is
Right.
semantics.
Right.
But
And that's what I said, to be clear. It doesn't, I didn't mean it doesn't matter. It's just it's a legality. It doesn't have to, but I will be happy to go back and change that to, change that in the minutes. Okay. I think that's all I have, Mayor. I appreciate you.
Thank you very much. So with that, we will move to the director's reports. The only thing I would like to say is send condolences to Renee. I know this is a hard time for their family, and like you say, he has been fighting this, and so our thoughts and prayers are with them.
Mayor, if I may, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I was just thinking about Director Smiley. Also keep her in her prayers. She has gone through a lot. I won't discuss too much. I know she's had a procedure, and then she had a pretty bad automobile accident. God grace, she was able, her and her husband, able to walk away from it. But she's had a lot going on the last 3 or 4 weeks. But again, she's not here. It's due to she's not feeling well, and so again, just keep her in your thoughts and prayers also.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alan, for reminding us. So, directors, I will move to you for your final comments. And Mindy, we will begin with you. And David, we will end with you.
Well,
So, Mindy.
I would echo your condolences to Renee, and our thoughts and prayers also to Carol Smiley, just as she's going through what she's going through, whatever that is. She's in our thoughts. I want to thank the American Legion Post 29 under the direction of Jerry Cavness for the 4 chaplains service. This was my first time to go. I know they've had it before, and they plan to continue having it every year. But Mayor was there, and I know Cammie was there as well. I had not been, and it was very moving, very interesting, just an amazing story of that whole incident. That has resulted in the 4 Chaplains Memorial Service every year, as close to February 3rd when the event happened as possible. I want to thank Parks and Rec again for the line dancing. I was able to go this last Friday night, and boy, was it fun. I'm sure it was funny for the people that were behind me and got to watch me, but boy, did I have a good time. It was good exercise, too. As you may know, they had the first one 2 weeks ago. There were so many people there that they split it into 2 sessions. And I went to both of them, actually, and there were as many people at the second one as there were at the first one. That room was full. And what was really neat about it was all ages. There were some little girls there, 8, 9 years old, all the way up to pushing 80 and possibly more years old, and then everything in between. And it was just a good time. So I know that not everybody's into line dancing. I know that not everybody's into pickleball. I know that not everybody is into fishing at the fishing pier, but isn't it nice that we do have a little something that everyone can take advantage of somewhere? And that's sort of the job as the Parks and Recreation Department, and I feel like they're doing well at providing just something fun for everybody. Daddy-daughter dance coming up next week, too. And I understand the tickets are sold out for all 3 sessions. So congratulations on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mindy. Ken?
I guess I was not aware of Carol's wreck, so I'm sorry to hear that. So really all I have is, yes, we'll definitely keep Carol, Renee, and their families in our thoughts and prayers, and that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Betsy?
It is working. I'm angry and I'm frustrated. And I'm angry and frustrated for citizens. I've been getting a lot of calls, texts, emails from citizens. Because these developers and these developments come in and they wreak havoc on the lives and the property and the streets around our citizens who already live here, and some of them have lived here for 60 years. And I'm not okay with it. I feel like telling citizens, if there's a development going up, you need to take pictures when it rains. You need to take pictures of the streets. You need to take pictures of everything so you can prove what's been destroyed. I am so angry. It's hard for me to even remember what I was going to say. I don't know if we need to change codes. I don't know what we need to do. the streets. The big machinery tears up the streets, so it tears up the citizens' cars. The drainage, these developments come in, they bring in red clay, they build it up 6 feet, and then, sorry for the sarcasm, but oh my gosh, there are drainage problems around. What a surprise. And y'all know who I'm talking about, and I'm sure they're watching. There's somebody who's lived here 60 years, and their property value just plummeted because of the development. And probably they're going to keep having drainage problems. It's nice to be welcoming to other people, but we are not taking care of our own citizens. And I'm not okay with that. And we need to have more conversations about what needs to change. These citizens are angry. I mean, y'all have seen some of the messages, not all the messages I've gotten. They're not blaming me, but I'm on their side. I get it. If it were my house, if it were my property, if it was my car in the street being torn up, I would be just as upset as they are. I don't really care about progress at the expense of the people who already live here. So I don't know what needs to be done, but this is only the beginning of the conversation. So if citizens who are watching, if you know a development is about to go up near you, take pictures of everything. I feel like I need to start going and knocking on doors of citizens whenever there's a development going up, because this is just not okay. So sorry, it's not a happy director comment, but I'm speaking for all the citizens who keep contacting me over this stuff. And it needs to change. Thank you.
Thank you, Betsy. Lisa?
My prayers are for Director Smiley and Renee and their families. It's rough. It's been a rough month. I'm ready for March, and it's just the beginning of February. So I've learned a lot of lessons through life, and I really learned a lot when my husband passed away at the age of 46, that we're not promised tomorrow. And there's a lot of lessons in life that we learn that we forget as we go on with our daily lives. We get busy with everything, and we forget that we forget to compliment people when they deserve to be complimented. And something hit me last week, especially with my aunt passing away. John's mom was taken to the hospital last week, but she went just before this board meeting. She had a stroke. And so, my grandma and everything I've dealt with, and with my husband passing away. And last week I got, on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I received a compliment about an employee. The first day you're like, oh yeah, I agree, he's a great employee. And the second day you hear it and you're like, oh yeah, I think he's great too. And then the third day and you're like, you know what? God's telling me that I need to start telling people when they go above and beyond and when they are being recognized. And we failed to do that. We always are wanting to talk about when somebody does something wrong. But we need to start saying when somebody does something right. And so I do want to recognize publicly that although it's only been a month, I have received some pretty awesome comments about Chief Miller. And I want to say thank you, Chief, for making a difference that people are wanting to say something to me as a director when they see me. The first one was at the hospital. Somewhere else I was out, and then I was at a restaurant. 3 different locations, 3 different people, didn't even know that they were saying anything to me. And we fail to tell people when they are being noticed. And I want to say thank you for making a difference. These people were talking about how you've carried on what Alan has started, and you've been positive, and you have reinforced things, and you have officers out in the public, and they appreciate that there's a relationship between the public and the police officers. And they said it's like they've never seen before, because most people don't want to call the police, but when that relationship's there, you want to call the police. And so thank you for going above and beyond. And I appreciate all the employees, but from now on, when people are telling me, I'm going to start publicly recognizing them. So thank you. That's it.
Thank you very much. Reed?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll echo those kudos, Chief Miller. I do also wish to give condolences to Renee, and will lift up Director Smiley as well as she is working through getting her body in line. I don't know about you all, but I think I've heard the frogs 3 days in a row, which usually tells me spring's really close, so I'm getting excited about that. Today was a good indicator. I just want to exhort everybody to use your right to vote here on March the 5th. We've got some elections coming up, and to me, a good sign of that is if we were to have a large percentage of our people get out and vote, not just be apathetic and let somebody else do it. But wow, if we could have 90%, 95% of us who are actually registered to get out there and vote and let our voice be heard, I think that'd be incredible. So I want to encourage us in that we can do that right that has been given to us. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Reed. David?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I echo that, Reed. Too many times our citizens across this great nation take it for granted and don't understand how many other countries' citizens wish they had the right to go vote. So yes, I echo, please, I encourage everyone to get out and go vote for the candidate of your choice. I want to give my condolences to Renee, and prayers for peace for her family, prayers for a quick get well for Carol Smiley. I want to give my congratulations to a real legend in Siloam, John Brown III, for receiving the Pioneer Citizen Award at the Chamber banquet. I was unable to attend, but very deserving, and he's done a lot for this city, and I really appreciate him being chosen. Mary, thank you for the update. I appreciate it. I born and raised in a giraffe house, so I can't wait to learn more about him. We got an update email from Stacy on the calendar for Main Street, and I appreciate her doing that. And I definitely appreciate any time there's a candidate forum, Arthur. Thank you for always helping provide those for the candidates to give their views to educate the public. I was a little frustrated to see, as we have learned more, the length of time that it takes, such a long process for the special use development for the permit for an Airbnb. And it seems almost, with what we had on our agenda, almost as long as vacating an easement, which I would think needed a lot of time to make sure. But an Airbnb being someone's private business and home, and especially seeing the people living as a mission, as missionaries in Ethiopia, and wishing to have their home available to be used for Airbnb to help defray their costs. I just look and say, my goodness, it has started, I think in November, at the end of November, 1st December, and now we are at the beginning of February, and it just seems like some of these things, I wish we could cut the bureaucratic red tape that seems to happen so often, that just because it's always been this way, we could look at it differently. Pardon me. I want to echo what I said earlier, Chief. I keep calling you Chief, sorry, Alan Gilbert. But to have staff staying overtime to fix the problems, that we have to do it. I mean, we have electric turnoffs for non-payment, and for them to, and I noticed as I came in, and I jokingly said, oh, working late. Yes, she was fixing people's problems, and I appreciate that.
We're going to try not to go home. I see them still out there working. We're not going
Yeah.
to go home to everybody has electricity, so
Well-
we'll be here. But, you know, again, when a mistake is made, we got to own it and try to fix it.
That's dedication with a capital D,
Yes, sir.
and I appreciate it greatly. Something I saw today reminded me, had to go visit the city of Tawnytown, and they've got a beautiful council chambers, and very historical, a lot about the history of the city with its wine industry, and but up on the wall in big letters, they've got "In God We Trust." And it reminded me of a few weeks ago being behind one of our police vehicles, and it's right there, "In God We Trust." And, you know, some people can be upset with the man, can gripe about the man, but that is only on our police vehicles because Bob Holloway requested it. And he lobbied this board, he lobbied the administrator for quite a long time, and that is something I appreciate, to see that on our police vehicles, and I just want to publicly thank him for asking that that be done. I hope we can get the echoing on the mics fixed, because I noticed watching the last meeting, a lot of my comments did not get picked up, and I was right in front of the microphone. I knew to wait until it got green, so I hope we can get that fixed. Anyway, thanks everyone for all the hard work everybody does. Thank you, Chief Gilbert, and thank you, Chief Miller. I mean, that's a testament right there, getting 3, and it wasn't the same person. It doesn't sound like. I think that 3 different people, right, Lisa, is what you said. That's a testament right there. People appreciating the job being done, so. She's right, we need to let our staff know when we hear these things more often. So, thank you.
Thank you, David. And before we have a motion to adjourn, I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to Arthur and to his board and to all those that were involved in our chamber banquet. It was a great event, and you're right, our pioneer citizen couldn't have been more deserving, and also our civic leader and our volunteer. Very well done. So thank you all for doing that for the community.
I didn't know, who were those two? I didn't hear, so.
The Cammie was the civic leader.
She's got a hat on, like
Yes.
incognito tonight or something.
Volunteer. I'm sorry, she was volunteer. That's right. I'm sorry. And Jordan Smithson was the other, and then, of course, John Brown III. So, yeah. All very deserving of those awards. So with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.